by, and we are back as we're getting ready to move forward with our last group stage game of the morning here. We're through 4 group stage games. We have one more for the day. STP Celtics versus MELZ Voyagers. And I was trying to see if I could get the specifics in the background, but if I'm not mistaken, I do believe this technically acts as a qualifier game. Because if MELZ Voyagers happens to fall here to the Celtics and the Voyagers would be tied in their series score, and the Celtics would have the tiebreaker, which would then in turn put them in, which would be quite the upset for the one of our few 15U squads that are up here in our 18U bracket right now. So it should be interesting to get on into it. Who are you taking here, Pepper?
Honestly, I want to go with the side of the Voyagers again. Just purely because I cheered for them earlier, and I gotta keep my loyalties.
I love it. I definitely got to roll that. I feel like too that's probably a relatively safe choice. I feel like the Celtics, kind of similar to the way that we had seen Vimy Valkyries earlier. Those are the two teams that will be facing off against one another for that 15U Grand Finals. While I'm sure that this will be a good building point for them, something for them to kind of at least sharpen their skill set just a little bit more before that 15U Grand Finals. As someone who cast a fair share of Scholastic Esports, an upset at this level between a 15U and an 18U squad would be quite the challenge here. So I'm here for it if the Celtics are able to pull it off. We'll have to, I guess, only wait and see if time will tell.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just see what they can put together on the pitch here, but like you said, an upset would be fantastic as always. I am cheering for the Voyagers, but anytime there's an upset we can see, always fun to watch.
We've been watching throughout the day, and I had mentioned it at the top of things before heading into that 4th round of action where we had seen sweeps across the board through our 3 groups. That is still the case, and I think that's something to think about going into this series again for the Celtics, where even just a game win here would be so big for them, because this Voyager squad, we had seen them earlier when they played against the Miners. That was our first series on the day, and while I'm sure the Voyagers have been able to get a little warmed up since then, they're hoping to get that redemption, sort of like how you were hoping to see them pick up the dub here. They're hoping to get their mainstream redemption here as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think for either team here, this is a big win for them. Being able to pick this up will definitely make a big difference moving into the playoffs here. And as you said, it is a qualifier elimination match.
Let's go ahead and get on down into it. Technically round number 5 of group stages, but it acts as a qualifier match in sorts here. As we do hit to the pitch, the Celtics will be over on the blue side of it. Over on that orange side will be Voyagers number 1 squad, the squad of Bronze, Caffeine, as well as Circana, who I think, was that the same third that they had last time around? Or did they potentially have a sub here? I'm trying to remember.
It is the same as before, I remember. Circana, it was Circana, yeah. Looks about the same to me.
Same roster out here. First 30 seconds gone by, and while we do often talk about that first minute kind of being more of a feeler out period, it does feel as though the Voyagers really trying their best to assert their dominance inside this blue half. Bronze was looking for a way to move that pass back towards the middle. Instead, puts themselves in between 3 Celtics, which just makes it that much tougher for them to find the clear.
That is true, but once they get that clear, though, they're going to have people behind them that they are going to be able to go forward with and have very little defense here. We see Radiant Storm waiting on the pitch net here, hoping to contest, and he does get the save.
Go towards the corner here where Caffeine will look to pick it on up. Has the NRG decal. I would say maybe a buff, but after open qualifier number 1 and how NRG performed, I'm not quite sure if that's still the same these days, but looking pretty darn good on the pitch regardless here. That's over 1, and whoop, that's going to go right on into the back of the net as well as Voyager strike first.
And some nice control here from Caffeine God here with the ball on his head there, able to get it over the defender and just straight into the net.
First goal for the Voyagers has to feel good to put yourself into the lead. I believe the first time we've seen them in the lead on the mainstream here is they were mostly trying to play from behind on their first round of the day, but it does feel like kind of got locked in a little bit here. They feel like they've got a little bit more control than what we had seen last time on the stream here. They've been able to control a decent amount of it. About 55% of the game has been sent over on that blue side. They've been able to keep right around that same percentage of possession as well. That's pass one. That's just trickling towards the net. Luckily, Mikey T will send it towards the corner.
Yeah, and definitely looks a lot better for this Voyagers team compared to earlier. The match we saw earlier looked like they were struggling to find their footing, and I believe they found it here.
Still have time. You've only surrendered one goal. One shot is all it takes to tie things up if you're able to find the lace. Bronze but proud in the corner. Looking for a centering pass. Caffeine God still going to be there regardless. One touch puts it up onto their hood. Was looking to try and pop it up over the defenders. Just couldn't quite keep the handle. It's a pass off of the backboard. Looking for Sakana Boy. Everyone commits. It means it's a wide open net. And Bronze but proud will be able to punish as now Voyagers go up by 2.
And fantastic rotations from the Voyagers this time around here, in the right place at the right time, able to put these goals in, just keeping overall their boost up, position up.
Celtics to try and see what they can do off of the kickoff. They at least move it forward for this Celtics squad. Mikey pops it up. Bronze but proud already asserting themselves forward, inserts themselves into the picture, and at least knocks it away for the time being. And the Voyagers continue to play this thing downhill. They've got the Celtics pinned back in their not only offensive half, but it feels like their offensive third for most part.
Yeah, and we got the Voyagers here looking absolutely dominant on the offensive half here, keeping the ball in this side. And honestly, it looks like just even trying to predict what the Celtics are doing and guessing quite well, honestly.
They seem to have the read. It's 105 seconds left here in game number 1. For the Celtics, they found themselves a shot. Would like to find a couple of more in that department moving forward into game number 2. Also, when you look at the scoreline, I mean, they're right there. If they were able to find a couple more shots, might be able to cut this lead into half. But instead, Bronze but proud extends the lead, is playing really scrappy in front of the net, if we can be quite honest, and just finds a way to get this popped over. One Celtics player there, that third that was on the goal line, just can't quite get turned around in time. All three of them are just basically forced to sit there and look at it.
Yeah, Bronze but proud specifically playing so well in these tight operations near the net here, being able to get these goals. They're not particularly fast goals, but he's able to just maneuver the ball around the defenders of the Celtics.
Opportunity in transition, at least until Bronze but proud brings it to a screeching halt with the demo. Friendly fire with the friend of the team bump, but eventually finding the clear here is Sakana Boy. Will at least send that ball back towards the midfield line, but the Celtics are able to keep the possession in the orange half, even if it is just for an extra moment or two. Radiant Storm with the pass was looking for their teammate, but Caffeine God steps into the passing lane and goes the opposite way with it.
Yeah, we're gonna see both of the attackers from Voyagers going wide here on the net, but Sakana Boy is sitting down there in the back, waiting for any opportunity there to come in and look for a goal.
Final 30 seconds. Still looking for a way to break out of their half. You have spent 3/4 of the game almost down on that blue half. That has to feel so frustrating for the Celtics squad, because they have been able to have a decent amount of ball possession. They've just been caught back in their half. Hold on, you're over 1. Can you get past 2? No, instead Bronze but proud jumps right on up and finds a way to sneak that one away for the hat trick.
Yeah, and Voyagers here just doubling up on these plays on the ball and just able to find these opportunities through the defenders here of the Celtics. Celtics got to look for a little bit more action here in terms of their offense on the ball.
Last couple of seconds. A mere technicality. Once the ball touches down, as this clock has a 0 on it, we'll move towards game number 2. And for the Voyagers, 1 game away from securing themselves that dance in the playoff bracket.
Yeah, I think absolutely excellent performance from Voyagers this game. Definitely nice to see them clean up their play a lot more since the last time we've seen them. Shot counts overall looking a lot more varied. And honestly, the MVP of that match was Bronze but proud. Like I think he played fantastic, especially in those tight areas near the net, which is really what they needed. Especially like in the previous games that we weren't able to see.
3 shots, 3 goals. Can't really ask for more than that from Bronze but Proud. And also did a pretty good job on the defensive side of things. That's not really a stat that shows up in the scoreboard, but it is something that your eye test, if you're paying attention, you can really limit the opportunities from the opposition, which is something that Bronze but Proud did quite a few times there over the course of that last 5 minutes. The good news for the Celtics is, well, they'll be back on an even playing field once they do get back out to the pitch. It's going to be up to them to see what they can do with it.
Yeah, I'd really like to see the Celtics clean up on their rotations here and be able to get some more offensive action, get the ball out on the other side of the pitch there, and be able to get some shots on the board.
To use this opportunity playing against the older, tougher competition here of the Voyagers. Use this as your last little bit of a warm-up as this Celtic squads, well, they're not done for the day. Even if they don't make that playoff bracket for 18U, they're still going to be moving forward in the grand finals of that 15U bracket, which will be happening after the lunch break. So as far as for them, they just have to worry about I feel like for them, playing against a faster squad, they've looked decent. I feel like once the speed comes down a little bit, they'll be right in their lane.
I think so, absolutely. I'm so excited to see what this U15 grand final is going to look like with how they are performing in this match, given the tougher competition that they do have.
And just a reminder that we did see that other 15U squad that this Celtic squad will be squaring off against earlier on the day. It was the Vimy Valkyries when they took on EMT Marauders, the 2-time champions. And while the champions did definitely come in and handle business, for 15U squad, they looked pretty darn good. For Caffeine God, though, in this series that we're watching on our screens right now in game number 2, it doesn't take long to put themselves back into the driver's seat.
Yeah, not even 3 seconds, already putting a score down onto the Celtics here, right off of kickoff on his own.
And all doing it on their own, puts their team in the lead. The question is now, what can you do with it now that you've got that comfortability? Gonna be Mikey that's looking to go the opposite way. Circana Boy at least sends it aside, and Caffeine God looking for Bronze but Proud on the opposite corner of the field. They'll at least be able to find the clear. Now the question is, can you find a shot? Caffeine God's shot will ring high.
Yeah, Radiant Storm coming up here. You're gonna look for a play onto the net. Hopefully they can get another rotation in here in order to keep the ball up and contest.
He has a chance, keeps it right up in front of the top of the key. Unfortunately, no one there to follow it up. And Bronze but Proud, a second touch, puts it over the 2 defenders. Hits him with the raindrop, drop top. I don't know, something about the flip-flop. That's a second goal here for the Voyagers as they go up in game number 2.
You know what? That goal might hurt for the Celtics, but I do like the aggression that they're showing here, being able to push forward and really look for stuff onto the net of the Voyagers here. Really what I was hoping to see.
Good job of keeping up with the pressure. What can they do for the final 4 minutes? Maybe even find a little bit of pressure down the opposite side of the field if you're the Celtics. Something to be able to at least take away and move forward with, getting ready for that 15U grand finals. There's a pass that feels like that was just about ready to be banged home, but Circana Boy reads it, pops it up, and is looking to go coast to coast with it. It will be Radiant Storm who does interrupt that, goes towards the sidewall, looking for a pass to the middle. Mikey's right there. Oh, it just can't quite dial it in.
Oh, just an unfortunate miss there for Mikey. That would have for sure been a goal if he was able to make that touch there.
But you know that they're definitely building and they're making the adjustments that are needed. But they also have a team on the other side who's also finding the read. It really does feel like they're being led by Bronze but Proud. He had the hat trick in game number 1, already finding 2 of their 3 goals here in game 2.
Yeah, it looks like they're doing a great job of setting up too, with the assist coming in there from Caffeine. I believe it was Caffeine God there, setting up for this goal.
Minutes left. Here's Radiant Storm looking to go the other way. It's a flick of the wrist. It's that far post. It's just a tad bit wide, but with the second effort, at least make sure that the Voyagers don't find a quick transition sort of play. Circana Boy now has it, looking for the double and maybe even a triple deke. Instead gets it past 2, but can't get it past 3.
Yeah, Celtics here looking for the defense, but the offense is just absolutely unstoppable here from the Voyagers, keeping up the pressure. Boost count looking low here for the Celtics, and the Voyagers will be able to put one in there. Caffeine God getting a nice play here off the top of the net.
Styling on him, takes to the sky. Everyone rises up. That's what you can do. It's the only chance you got. But Caffeine God keeps the control and finds a fourth. We do close in on that midway point here in game number 2. And it does feel like for the Voyagers, they've done a pretty good job of coming in here and understanding this assignment. Now at this point, you just have to make sure you can lock things away for this last half.
Yeah, make sure they keep up this pressure that's gave them the 4 goals and the lead that they have. They keep this pressure up. Looks like a sure win for them.
Caffeine God will find another. That's going to be a hat trick here this time around for Caffeine God. As they said, yeah, you know what? I saw what Bronze did in that last one, and I wanted one of them as well.
Yeah, definitely following after each other's example here. We'll see whether or not the Celtics here can pull something off, maybe get a goal in here before the end of the game. There's still 2 minutes left in the match and plenty of time to set something up here.
Caffeine God is going to be able to turn defense into offense relatively quickly with that one. You had too much pressure forward, and for the Celtics, understandably so, you're at that point in the game where you kind of have to send the house, and you have to hope that you can make the opposition a little uncomfortable. It wasn't the case there. Voyagers extend their lead some more.
Yeah, and the boost totals for the Celtics here is just feeling a little bit rough. They keep running out of boost on these defensive plays, and it just hurts transitioning them into the offense.
Yeah, I think the big thing it does feel like is the Voyagers doing a little bit better of a job of being able to not just rely on the big pads, but really scooping up the small ones as well. Whereas it does feel like the Celtics, when you see them with a decent amount of gas in their tank, it's because they're controlling the corners. And when you're playing against a team like the Voyagers, who are playing a little bit faster than you, it gets really hard to just rely on the big pads to be able to contend.
Yeah, and those little pads are so important, and just picking those up as you're able to drive around and look for opportunities to go onto the ball here. Those are really what maintain a strong offense and be able to allow you to defend quickly.
Final 95 seconds here in game number 2, and while I would be all for seeing a 7-goal comeback in 90 seconds, I just don't know if I see it here. I feel like at this point, got to understand the assignment if you're the Celtics. See if you can just find yourself something to feel like you can give yourself a small little pat on the back moving forward. Because again, your next matchup, you will be going against a 15U squad. A squad that's probably going to be playing at a similar pace to what you're playing at. Because right now, the Voyagers, in game number 1, they controlled the pace so well. We talked about them being able to control the possession for about 70% of the game. It's closer to 60 here, but basically anytime you move up past that 60 mark, 62, 63, it's really hard to fight back when you're already playing from behind in that regards.
Yeah, incredibly difficult when you're so behind in order to find something here. But if they can at least find 1 goal here, they have something that they can bring forward to the next match. That momentum from getting something at least out of the game will be good for their mental there.
It's worth noting that the sportsmanship being shown as far as from the Voyagers, they've kind of let off. We're letting these last couple of seconds burn up off of the clock. Unfortunate that one does roll across, as we will have to reset one more time for a kickoff. But it's essentially just allowing the last little bit of things to roll across here. I think important for the Voyagers, I do believe with this victory, we had mentioned about how they were running the risk if they had gotten upset from the Celtics of maybe finding themselves on the outside of the bubble looking in. With the win here, I'm pretty sure secures themselves the 2nd seed in their bracket, which is going to at least give them a little bit more favorable of a draw for that first round.
Yeah, and I do believe that the 1st seed from each of the brackets does get a bye, I believe, into quarterfinals. And so getting that 2nd place does mean that they get that extra experience and potentially the extra momentum to bring with them into a quarterfinals match against whoever they might be facing.
As long as the brackets stay the same from the group stages, as we are waiting for the last bit of our results to come across. Ironically enough, this MELZ Voyagers 1 squad will be going up against a team that we already also saw on screen. They were the LTCHS Raiders that took down Altitude in that 3rd series of the day. Could potentially be where those 2 teams are squaring off. I don't know if we're gonna have that one on the stream. We haven't really figured out what matchup we're streaming as far as for playoffs just quite yet. But the good news is playoffs are just over the horizon here. We're through 5 rounds of group stages as we do wait in the background for Start GG to kind of figure out who sits where in that playoff bracket. But then we're going to move on forward. We got lunch break here real quick. We've got the grand finals for 15U, and then we'll move into those playoffs. So we're about halfway through the day. If it's your first time through over here on the stream and you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that follow button below, down, turn those notifications as well. But we're going to take ourselves a quick little break, and we're going to set the stage for playoffs. We'll be back in a bit.